up, internet people? Making a video real quick to go over why I feel nobody should buy a 2011 to 2018, 2019 Hyundai or Kia product that has the Theta 2, 2.0 and 2.4 liter engines. These things are ticking time bombs, and the problem with them is they both engines have separate problems. The 2.0 is a naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, and it's got a factory recall for poor casting. So when they cast these engines, the factory never, I would assume, like, rotary tumbled or whatever they do to deburr the inside of the block. They never did that. They skipped that step in the production process. So what that left behind was a bunch of little metal pieces of slag in your engine that can become dislodged at any time and literally destroy your engine. The 2.4s had faulty timing setups from the factory. The timing tensioners were faulty, and you'll just be driving along and it'll let go, and then you'll jump time and boom, destroy your engine. So normally the manufacturer should be replacing all these engines. They've already been sued, but the problem is Hyundai and Kia, even though they were sued, they still nitpick people to death and do everything in their power to make it so they don't have to do it. Now, I keep saying Hyundai and Kia, they're the same thing. They're the same thing. If you buy a Hyundai and you look at a part, you can open the hood on a Hyundai and look at a stamping on the block, it'll say Hyundai Kia. They're the same thing. So currently, somebody I know very well, a friend of mine, has a 2011 Sonata, and it's got the 2.0. She bought it from JD Byrider in Ohio, and she's down here, lives in Florida where I'm at. Now, when she bought the car, she paid for an extended warranty, which she thought would help. Well, she's driving along one day, and that slag must have come loose because it destroyed the engine. It's gone. So right off the bat, nobody would help her. And this is actually kind of a, I don't know whether to fault JD Byrider or not. I'm really not sure, but I know they have not done very much to help her at all. So I towed the car back to the house for her until she could figure out what they're going to do. She called them up, told them the engine's blown. So the extended warranty kicked in, told her, get it towed up here to Jacksonville, we'll put another engine in it. This was before we knew anything about recalls or anything like that. So we get it up there, it spends a couple weeks there, don't do nothing with her car. She's left to, if it wasn't for me helping her, she would have had to get another vehicle because she has nothing to drive. So they finally, the service tech tells the service writer, hey, there's an open recall on this engine. Hyundai needs to replace this engine. So they're passing the buck to Hyundai. Okay, so they call her up, tell her, oh, you know what, your car's going to get a brand new engine. It's going to be good. You don't have to pay nothing out of pocket. So a recall from Hyundai. So they tow it all the way to the dealership, Hyundai dealership, and that's where it's been for the last 2 months. And they have nitpicked this woman to death. To death. First, Hyundai said, oh yeah, it's no problem. It takes about a month or so to go through the process, and then we get it approved, and then you get your put your new engine in, and you're good to go. Okay, well, then there was silence. There was no contact. So she had to call them and say, hey, what's going on with my car, you know? Oh, well, before Hyundai will approve the new engine, we need all your service records. Okay. So she provided them with the service records that she had. Remember now, she bought this car from JD Byrider, used, obviously. Now, she had the receipts for all of her oil changes except for two. She had to go to a different spot than she usually went to, and instead of a paper receipt like the other ones, she got an email receipt. Things got lost. You know how that goes. Okay, but she had all the other service records. Well, submitted all that to Hyundai, and then wait. Nobody get into contact. All right, now they finally, she calls them, what's going on? Oh, well, you didn't provide all service records. Got to provide all of them from when the car was new. Well, how is she supposed to provide service records for a car when she didn't own it? So then we had to get JD Byrider involved, and then they had to go produce service records. So I did that. That was a big hassle. Did that. So then, still wasn't good enough. Then they wanted to say, well, these service records aren't good enough because they don't have your car's VIN number on them. So how do we know that they're for that car? And the mileage wasn't on there. And, it took a lot of arguing. I had to call, get nasty. Finally, that was thrown out. Like, look, this is retarded, okay? Nobody's going to get an oil change done and make sure the VIN number's recorded and, take a picture of the mileage and all this other. Nobody does that. I don't know if anybody does that. I keep service records on my vehicles. I do all my own service, and I don't do none of that, okay? Nobody I know does. So they're trying to nitpick at this point, what they're trying to do, okay? Trying to find something to disqualify her for getting the free engine replacement. So then they go back to the two missing oil change receipts, saying that since you can't prove that the oil was changed in that period, sludge could have built up and destroyed the engine. I said, no, not with two oil changes. That's not going to happen. Sorry, you're not going to form sludge in that small amount of time, okay? Now, then they tried to say, after we had that thrown out, then they tried to say, well, you didn't change the oil frequently enough. There should have been more oil changes. So I said, no, she followed what was in the owner's manual, which is in the glove box. And they said, well, you should change your oil every 3,500 miles. So I took a picture of the owner's manual, the page where it says, right from Hyundai, oil change intervals 7,500 miles. It's exactly what she did. See, so they're still trying to nitpick. You see, you follow what I'm going here? Okay, it's not over yet. So after we argued with them and got that thrown out, okay, then the truth come out. The truth come out, and it was said that, well, there's a lot of cars with blown up engines, and basically we were told there's like 25 cars on the lot currently needed an engine. Now the wait time is 7 months. 7 months to get an engine. Car has to sit there for 7 months. And said, well, what about a loaner car? Isn't that part of the agreement? Well, the way that works is you have to pay for the loaner car out of your own pocket. And if, that's the big word, if Hyundai finally approves you to get a new motor, they may or may not approve rental car reimbursement. So follow along here. So 7 months, you're expected to still make your monthly car payment. Then you're going to have to pay for a rental car on top of that. And nobody has that kind of money. Not if you're buying a Hyundai Elantra. Let's be real here, okay? So then we get a hold of JD Byrider again. They're like, look, now they're saying it's going to be 7 months and it's still not guaranteed. It's already been a month and a half at this point. What are you going to do about this? This is ridiculous. If you want her to keep making her car payments, then you need to put an engine in this thing. And they said, well, we'll be happy to put an engine in it, but it's going to be a used engine from the salvage yard. It's not going to be a new engine. And I said, well, does it come with a warranty? It comes with 3-year unlimited mile warranty. I said, well, think about this now. All of these engines are affected. There's no engines that are not affected. All of them are. So when you get a used engine put in via your extended warranty through JD Byrider, you still have to pay money. There's, all the oil, gaskets, antifreeze, all that stuff associated with the engine change, you have to pay out of pocket for. And even though it has a warranty, I said, it's going to be back in here. You're going to get a motor out of the junkyard that's going to have the same exact problems. They said, yeah, you're probably right. So what's the point in paying all this money for you to swap a motor in that's probably going to blow up? The only real option here is to put this motor in the car. So now, here's the point that she's at. She wants JD Byrider to release her from the contract, which I think they should. She hasn't done anything wrong. She's made all of her payments on time like she's supposed to. And it's JD Byrider and Hyundai hee-hawing back and forth about who's going to put the motor in this thing. Now it's looking like 7 months, and still if. They keep telling this big word if. They're not sure if they're going to approve it or not. And meanwhile, the finance company's still calling her wanting payments, and she's telling them, no, I am not making payments on a vehicle that I cannot drive. Because at the end of the day, after 7 months, if they don't approve it at Hyundai to get a new motor, then she would have to pay to get a motor put in herself. Now, there's a channel called Ford Boss, and I got to give props to them. There's a girl they helped out battling the same problem. Same exact problem. Except for her, Kia has the 2.4, but still, same problem. So Ford Boss, they raised money to get this girl an engine for her car. And if I remember right, by the time it was all said and done, with the new engine, all the parts you need and everything like that, it was like 8 to 10 grand for this thing. Now, I don't know if the 2.0 would be a little cheaper since it's non-turbo. I don't know, but still, I would easily say at least 5 to 7 grand. So you're paying for a car that you're already way overpaying for, as it is. Then you're going to have to drop 5 to 7 grand in it on an engine? It ain't worth it. So what they're doing to people, the long story short is they know this is a problem. They know this is a problem. And really the recall has been around since before she bought the car. So really, in all reality, it should, JD Byrider, when they acquired the vehicle, they should have done a VIN lookup, saw that it had a recall, and they should have had the recall performed before they even sold the car. That's what they should have done. But they didn't. So that's where it is. And we've asked several times, the finance company wants payment, and we told them, she told them, I'll make a payment if somebody puts in writing that I will have an engine put in my car. If I get that in writing from either JD Byrider or Hyundai, that I will have an engine in my car if I continue to make my payments, and nobody will do that. They won't do that. Hyundai won't put it in writing. JD Byrider won't put it in writing. But they want her to keep making those payments for 7 months on a car that you can't drive. And then to top it all off, so after we found out it's going to be there for 7 months, she said, well, why am I wasting money paying my monthly car insurance and everything? I might as well just go surrender my tag and save my money until the car's fixed. So she calls Hyundai, gets them to take the plate off. I had it ready for her. She went by, picked it up, dropped it off at the DMV, and then canceled her insurance. Saved some money. Well, I would. Why pay for insurance for a car you can't drive? Well, guess what? After she did all that, now Hyundai's using that as a reason why she can't get a car or get an engine in her car. They said, oh, well, you have to have an active registration on the vehicle in order to get the engine. Well, what the heck does that have to do with anything? So they're never going to end. It's never going to stop. No matter what you do, they're going to find another reason to say, oh, you're disqualified from getting the engine replacement. And I think it's bullcrap. I really do. I think it's bullcrap because you got people out there that are working hard, trying their best, making their car payments, and they get stuck with one of these vehicles that the engine takes a crap in, and it's going to happen no matter what. And then what? The only option you have is to surrender the vehicle, let the lien go into default, and then ruin your credit. Why? How is that fair? And why should that be allowed to happen? Why should somebody who's doing their best to do what they're supposed to do, why should they have to take the hit? I think that car companies and car dealerships should be held liable. It's not a secret that these engines have these problems. It's already been declared a recall. That the manufacturer's already been sued because of it. And I think that if you purchased a vehicle from a dealership after this open recall happened, the liability should fall back on the dealership. If they sold a car that is well known has problems and it requires a new engine to solve these problems, then they should go through and have the engine swap done and performed before they sell the car to anybody. Because otherwise they're purposely selling somebody a vehicle that they know isn't even going to last long enough to get paid off. So they're just collecting money on a ticking time bomb, and once it blows up, the person making the payments has no option but to forfeit the car, lose all that money they've paid, and get a repo on their credit. So now they can't even go out and buy another car. It's wrong. It's wrong all the way around. So my advice to anybody to looking to buy a car, there's lots of them. I've been driving by dealerships, car dealerships, and you see them more and more nowadays. I would stay away from any Hyundai or Kia between 2010 and 2020 that has the 4-cylinder engine, the 2.0 to 2.4. I would just steer clear of the thing. Just I don't care how good the deal looks. Just you're gonna be asking for trouble. So I hope this video helps people steer clear of these pieces of garbage. And also, if anybody out there has dealt with this and you've gotten success at getting your engine replaced, please put in the comments what you had to do, because at this point she's talking to an attorney this morning because she wants JD Byrider to release her from the contract, which I think they should. They should not, yeah, she's gonna have to take a loss on the money that she's already put, but she does not deserve to get a repo on her credit for something that she didn't do. So, all right, have a good one.